welcome back to your weekly astrological transits. So this week I'll be going, as you can see, from May 13th through the 19th, and we're going to start out with where we left off from last week with the Sun conjunct Uranus. But this week also Mercury moves into Taurus, squares Pluto along the way, so I'll talk about that, of course. And then Mercury also conjuncts Uranus and Jupiter on Saturday. Whew. I think we can expect a week full of enlightenment of all different types. But also the moon will move through the signs of Cancer, Leo, Virgo, and Libra. So let me just bring over my table and we'll get going one chart at a time. Hold on. Okay, so to look at the backdrop energies quickly before we move on, I'll go as quick as I can. Probably remember last week we have been having actually for quite some time, probably up to a month prior. We still have Neptune here at 29 degrees, so at that anaretic degree of Pisces, which makes things more intense, but in Pisces it can be much more dreamy, much more compassionate, much more intuitive, and very sensitive. And then with the sextile to Pluto, we're hypersensitive to abuses of power. Now, Aquarius, most of us love to, think that it's a it's a great sign. Well, it is. It has a lot of great qualities, such as, becoming aware of things. Having the opportunities for reinventing ourselves and inventing new things, and for mostly coming into our own unique individuation. But on the dark side with Aquarius, we can have people who are really detached from the heart, and they're racist and bigoted and just, very opinionated. So sextiles bring in opportunities, but if the opportunity is to be an arsehole, then some people are going to do it. And with, the downside of Pisces, this would be our cult, people that are in the cult. When I don't need to, say anything more about that. I know you know what I'm talking about. So we can expect to see more of that, but we can also, for us who are working in the light, we can really use this time to work, to really have that strong, solid spiritual foundation, and especially to have it increase, have the opportunities for it to grow. And that would also relate to Saturn in Pisces here, and Saturn in that second decan, almost to the third decan of the sign, where we're moving from the learning how to create a strong spiritual foundation, learning how to not limit ourselves from all the pure potential that Pisces offers, and also to see people in the government, because Saturn relates to the government. It can relate to men and authority figures. But we see them as, a lot of them, the downside of the GOP is that they're pretty much exposing themselves for who they truly are. So, but for us, it's about that spiritual foundation, and I really appreciate the Pisces energy here. It's also great for movies and film. Neptune and Pisces as well rules all types of film and media, movies, things like that. It could definitely be connected to social media as well as Uranus. And then Mercury is always in there when it comes to the messages getting out and us communicating with each other. So the best way that we can use this sextile that's still going on, this is an applying sextile, and it's going to take until Neptune makes it. This will be here as as Neptune, because Pluto's just going to move so slow, even though it's retrograde. But to be in that orb of like 6 or 7 degrees of a connection, this will be happening for months and months and months. Neptune makes it to Aries in 2025, March 30th of 2025. And that's when we would have that exact sextile going on. But for now, it's an applying. So that means that the energy is really strong. But both of these planets are going to, Neptune will retrograde in October of 2025, and Pluto will make it back to the later degrees of Capricorn, but they're still going to be in orb throughout the year and into next year. So there's, this is something we're going to just be with, and this is a good thing, I think. Now, for today, we can see that we have the aspect of the architect here with the moon at 0 degrees, and I ran the chart at 5 a.m. The moon's at 0 degrees of Leo, so we've got the trine coming up to Neptune in Pisces, and so this brings in some quick heart-opening energy that can be very spiritual, that can help you with the moon in Leo, can definitely help you get inside of the core of who you are. The Leo is ruled by the sun, and Leo is all about knowing yourself as a light being, knowing yourself as someone who is a creator, a co-creator, I guess maybe would be a better way to say it, but that we can create so much in our lives. Now, nothing's perfect on planet Earth because we're in this dualistic planet, but we really do have, we always have choices to how we respond to life, but we often don't have any control over, things breaking down, mechanical things in our home, cars, all of those things. We can do our best, but things are just going to, break down and wear out. That's just life here on Earth. But when it comes to who we are, we can still recreate and co-create and create best to our abilities and best to our, the means that we have. And with this opposition to Pluto this morning and for, hours to come afterwards, we're probably all the way through early afternoon, or probably about noontime Pacific. There can be some. Now, I do love the opposition here for bringing in the polarity of both signs, right? So at least there's something there, and that means that one's not stronger than the other. But Pluto's sitting here, so it's the stronger one. The moon will move, but there will be a reflection point. There will be this opportunity, which can create, this opposition can create a breakthrough. And with that breakthrough, and it will be exact, to that 2 degrees at about 7:30, so about 2.5 hours, and it'll still stay in orb till late morning, maybe even noontime. But so we have all this opportunity to stay in your heart, even if somebody's pulling like a power game, playing power games with you. If you stay in your heart and you reflect your light back to them, and then just go your own way, you could have a breakthrough. There's a real possibility in that. Or it could soften their heart so that they open their heart, and because they see you. A lot of times we do have to teach people how to treat us, because they don't know how we're feeling. They don't know what we've been through or going through at the time. And a lot of times we just have to stop and say something, and it shifts reality. So that's especially prominent with Mars here opposing the South Node in Libra. So Mars is at 9 degrees of Aries, and this is an approaching opposition. You can see 9 degrees, and it has to, make it to 14 degrees to be an exact opposition. And at that point, of course, Mars would have caught up with the North Node. So remember, South Node is a past, North Node is a future. The South Node in Libra is holding space for healthy relationships that are not based in dependency or codependency, not based in, the challenge with Libra can be sometimes just not committing and maybe being a little manipulative and a little polarizing, or just kind of flopping, floundering around, and it's back to that kind of like peace at any price, like, oh, I'm not going to rock the boat, right? Because I don't want to lose connection. But Aries is over here, especially with Mars in Aries. Mars in Aries is like, I'm going my own way, and I'm not even going to talk about it or think about it. It's so instinctual. The movement has already happened, and basically, can you keep up? It can be really challenging. Mars will fight. Mars will activate others. Mars is a planet that moves energy. It will get other people going, even if they're not going in the right direction. Mars will, just with that driving force, it will often, it's independent, right? And it'll defend space if need be. But it can bring in sometimes so much conflict that it's not worth it. So I always like to, question, especially when we have the polarity, a Libra polarity, and the connection with the North Node. We're talking about, picking our battles. We really need to pick our battles and walk away from the other ones. And that's where the positive side of Libra can be supportive in relationships. And Mars and Aries can go, well, yeah, don't worry, I'll wait for you because I want you with me, right? I'm kind of already there, but I'll wait for you. Can be like that, right? And there we can have breakthroughs in relationships. Or it can also play out in another way where the Mars person, the Aries person, has, let's say you have Mars in Aries, or let's say you have any personal planets at 9 degrees of Aries and Mars is conjunct that planet. You might find yourself being an advocate for someone else. You might, because with the South Node in Libra, we're talking, Libra is justice, fairness, and equality, right? So when it comes to Mars over here activating this energy to go forward, a lot of times it will be used in a way that you can help someone to to maybe support them in some way or another. It might just be through your emotional support, or it might just be through some words, or you might actually, with Mars, it's usually doing something, but it can support them to get going. Sometimes with Libra energy, we need to help them get going. And but they're going to do it better than we would, because with Aries energy, you just go and sometimes hit a wall. Think of just look at the glyph. It's like the head of a goat, right? Aries, the ram into a wall, just fight for no reason. Well, Libra energy helps us to balance that out. It's like, okay, you want to go somewhere, but are you going to stop and think about it? And please don't hurt anybody on the way. Libra's over here like, come on, be careful. It's about, Libra energy is about making decisions, and especially decisions that relate to partnerships, and especially decisions that relate to being treated equally. And it's very painful for Libras to encounter injustice. It's very challenging for them to have to make decisions that, that puts them in needing to confront something that's outside of them. And that's where the Aries energy can help. So, every day this week we can expect this type of energy, okay? We can expect these types of opportunities, I should say. And throughout these opportunities, we can create breakthroughs, or we have the opportunity to create breakthroughs, I should say. Okay, so let's see. So that I don't feel like I have anything else to say about that. The moon over here is in an approaching square to, you can see, to Mercury here and Eris. Now, also, we've got a T-square going on up here with Ceres. Let me address this over here just for teaching purposes so that I don't confuse the energy that's up there. Okay, so Mercury, of course, is the way we think. It's the way we connect the dots in our mind. It's the way we rationalize things. We analyze things. It also rules the news. It also rules voting. And, you know, a lot of us are getting our mail-in ballots this week, or we got them last week, and we're working to get them out this next week, right? So there's that, right? We've got choice here at this later degree of Aries. And it won't be long before it'll be Wednesday when Mercury actually goes into Taurus. So this Aries energy will soften, although Mars in Aries is so strong, but when we're still going to have Chiron, Eris is going to stay there in Aries for years, so don't even think about that moving much for the time being. But with Mercury squaring the moon, so the moon's over here in open-hearted Leo, or okay, it could be open-hearted, and it could be creative, and it could be your creative self-expression. It can be your identity. It can have to do with your self-confidence and your courage. On the downside, it can have to do with narcissism and my way or the highway, and you know, just very, very challenging egocentric energy that can be like energy vampires and can get into some really dark, blind, you know, spots. So drama, kings and queens are, you know, they fall under the category of Leo. Gee, I wonder who you might think of someone who's in court every day, which is nearly every day, and squaring with the square to Mercury in Aries. You know, Mercury's in Aries, the journey through Aries has been bringing out new information, Mercury. Okay? But now with the moon in Leo, square Eris. Eris is our planet, our dwarf planet, just like Pluto, except twice as powerful because she's the feminine counterpart. And I'm not saying she's more powerful than the masculine. I'm just saying she's more powerful because she takes 558 years to get around the zodiac, which is twice as long, twice as slow as Pluto takes. So she's sitting here, sitting. I mean, I was born with Eris at, I think, 8 degrees of Aries. And wow. I'll be 70 next month, and it's only moved from 8 to 25. So yeah, we can venture to guess that we all have Eris in Aries. So wherever Aries is in your chart, that's a really important area of your life that you will always be courageously fighting for equality. Okay, so that's the important thing to remember for you personally. With the square to the moon, or with the moon bringing in the square to Eris and Mercury, we can bet that we're going to have a lot of fiery courage to speak up and speak out. And, you know, this person that's in court sitting there while, I mean, I just find this, like, you got to love astrology, right? The moon rules the feminine. In Leo, it would be the creative feminine trying to be in her authority and create her own life. And we know, these women we're talking about, especially one strong one by the name of Stephanie Clifford, but Stormy Daniels. We do have a storm going on here, a fiery storm that is bringing through information, even a little too much that, the defense counsel's like, okay, we don't need that much. Meanwhile, she's telling a lot. And so because there's this courage coming in here. So Monday, whatever happens in court Monday, could be quite surprising, and that is especially because the sun is still connected to Uranus. Remember last week it was all about the sun moving towards the Uranus conjunction, and now by 5 a.m. here, which would be 8 a.m. Eastern time in New York, they're starting off that court morning. If they go to court, unless there's some reason that it's out for the day, but I don't think so, because Trump gets the 17th off to go to Barron's graduation. Wonder how that's going to go for him, because he has Sun conjunct Uranus in Gemini. And that's why he's always just talking crazy, and he's just super unpredictable. Crazy's crazy, basically, right? But this is the sun in Taurus that had conjuncted Uranus. So this can be breakthroughs, and Uranus is known as being the change agent. And there could be something that comes out between, because I do these readings on the Thursday before, so it's possible between the 9th and the 13th, it's very possible that there's something that comes out that's even more shocking than what we've known about before, because Uranus has the power to wake us up. The sun is the spotlight that's going to shine, on something. And so because the week isn't over yet here, and through the weekend, we don't know what's going to happen. Now, we do have clues, though. Venus rules women. Connected to Uranus, it can be something that's now we can work this energy for us very well too, because this can be a way to wake up to our gifts and our values, and wake up to reinventing ourselves in any way that we see fit at the time. Venus brings in harmony. Uranus at its best brings in a sudden breakthrough, discoveries, freedom. Major freedom and big aha moments, flashes of insight. And connected to Venus, it can have everything to do with our money, how to make more money, how to streamline things so that maybe you're working smarter. It can help you bring in more harmony in relationships. It can help with beautifying your home or anything that you really care about. And in Taurus, Venus and Taurus, and then the Libra energy over here, Venus rules Taurus and Libra. But we're talking artistic gifts when we're talking Taurus and when we're talking Libra. People with a strong Venus, a strong Venusian presence, or Taurus and Libra in their charts usually tend to be really good with at least one medium of art, if not many. So, and Venus will make comparison values, or make comparisons based on what we do value. And with Venus at that 17 degrees, we're still in that learning lessons stage. So we've been waking up to our values. Uranus over here at the 23rd degree of Taurus is at the deepening and blossoming of the gifts. And Uranus in the sign of Taurus has been all about safety, creating stable foundations, Stable physical foundations would be a Taurian territory, but spiritual foundations would be over here in the Pisces territory. So, and then with that aspect of the architect coming off of Neptune and Pisces, connected up to Pluto, and then down to the Leo moon, this can be a really, really good day for any type of creativity, no matter what you do. Or maybe you're not going to do anything, but you're going to meditate and get some plans. Maybe what you're doing to create is your envisioning. That would be a very Piscean quality. That would also be a Uranian quality here. So yeah, however you want to work it today, it's up to you. Let's see. We also have the other clues as to maybe the surprising breakthroughs and the enlightenment. Uranus is all about enlightenment, and we've got the sun shining there, bringing in a lot of enlightenment. And the sun is also moving 1 degree every day towards Jupiter. The sun being right in the center of, sandwiched in between Uranus and Jupiter, does help to support. Remember the Uranus-Jupiter conjunction that we had? Oh my goodness, was it April 20th? I think 20th or 21st. I forget. I think it was the 20th, and I think it happened at 21 degrees, if I remember correctly. I don't know if I probably do have that chart around here somewhere, but anyway, suffice to say that with the sun in the center, the sun will be bringing some more light into more ways of, something to enlighten, something to help you create more freedom. It's very liberating. And then with Jupiter involved in Taurus, especially at that last decan right here, the sun and Jupiter together are shining the light on new ways for healing, new aspirations towards abundance, helping you to heal your belief system if needed. Jupiter is also our planet for creative visualization. It's one of the builders of the zodiac. The other builder is Saturn. Jupiter opens things up and expands your imagination. And in this case, it would be about money and what you value and what creates more safety and security in your life. And what your principles are, spiritual principles even. Jupiter relates to all types of law, man-made law, natural law, and spiritual law. And it opens things up. Jupiter opens things up, and then Saturn comes in and kind of tests the reality and goes, okay, you want that? What are you gonna do to get it? So, because Saturn's the hard work planet. We can't just sit and envision all the time without actually, you have to plant the seeds. And then once you plant the seeds, you've got to put, they need light, and you've got to water them and pull out any weeds that come up. The weeds would be the false beliefs that come up around like, oh, I don't deserve this, or I can't do that. Oh, it's going to be too much work. I don't want to do that much work. Meanwhile, you're in process, right? But the other things that were giving me the clue as to how all this could play out is the fact that we have 4 trines up to Ceres. Okay, so now let's talk about Ceres for a little bit again. Just a reminder that it's all about what we nurture and what we want to protect in our lives and what we're loyal to. And it has to do also with all the cycles that a woman goes through in her life. So it's related to our maternal imprint. It's related, most of all, is like how you can best take care of yourself and your loved ones. But it's also connected to grief and separation sometimes. Now with the trines, I don't think you guys have to worry about that, but someone with the initials DJT, I think this is going to hit him in the ego department because this is happening in his 5th house of identity. And I don't think it's going to go too well for him with all of this going on. Trines are, graceful, harmonious connections usually, but not always. not always. And Jupiter sometimes brings in loss. Yeah. So, and then all of this stellium of planets up here, I'm pretty sure, hold on, I think it's in his 10th house. Yeah, there you go. Right there. See how Ceres is down here? Okay. Trouble there. And in conjuncts to his sun, Ceres in conjunct the sun. Adjustments are needed, basically, for him. So, anywho, in this Leo energy, it will be hitting his first house, moving through the 12th to the 1st during that time. I don't think that Barron's, I wouldn't be surprised if he doesn't get booed at Barron's graduation. I could imagine that would be really humiliating. And I can't imagine that, I honestly can't imagine that Melania, the timing, of Stormy Daniels and Karen McDougal and all of this other, all this has been out in the news for the last few weeks, and he's supposed to be spending the day with Melania. I wonder how she's going to handle that. Even though, of course, their relationship is nothing but transactional, but still, she's got her pride, right? So, okay, but for us, the way I'm seeing that this could work out is that we can, once we're clear on what we're, the foundation that we're building in our lives, and I can't really speak to it going forward because the Ceres is going to retrograde and it's going to go all the way back to 7 degrees. So we're going to go back over that same territory that's been covered the last few months. Anyway, I'll talk about that when we get there. But for us, we can use all of this awakening and inventive and abundant energy for healing, for protection. Jupiter's all about protection. Jupiter's all about a new expansive outlook and then having faith in yourself. Jupiter's about wisdom, as well as Uranus. Uranus can bring in wisdom. Jupiter's all about success and our positive intentionality. Jupiter's related to, learning, but learning about things more abstract and philosophical. It's connected to higher mind and higher learning. Also, it can help us to have a better sense of humor about things. So in Taurus, it's very fundamental and very concrete and very, I don't know, it might just be very earthy as far as, because Taurus is fixed earth, where Capricorn is cardinal earth. So it's like the dry sense of humor, where it's very practical. You see these practical, absolute details, and then there's that, connection there that can actually be really funny. So, but anyway, if we're focused on nurturing things that will bring in, we're coming from a sense of integrity in the highest sense with Capricorn. We're coming from a place of the willingness to work hard and to, get ourselves oriented as to what our goals are, and then create a plan to have a solid, strong foundation or strong structure to work from. With all these trines to Venus, Uranus, the Sun, and Jupiter, this is really, really good. And as Venus, it's going to get even stronger because when Ceres goes retrograde, there'll be a stronger connection to Venus, and Venus in Taurus is really, really good for manifesting. So get really clear about what you want to bring in for yourself over this next this next year or so. This is a really good starting point. Even if it's something you've been thinking about for a long time, you've never gotten around to it, this just might get you going this week. Okay, so let's see. We also have, if we look in here, we see these Saturn sextile Venus. See how Saturn's at 17, Venus is at 17, so this is an exact sextile. This brings in an opportunity. Venus to Saturn is definitely connected to money and creative arts with Pisces. Any type of, like let's say you make things. Let's say you you create any type of art. Well, Taurus will keep you very steady. Venus and Taurus will keep you very steady and patiently, going in a determined trajectory in your life, so that you can stay, solidly on your path. It's not wavering, right? With all the Aries energy, it was hard. It was just too much. Well, now that Mercury, you'll see later when Mercury moves into Taurus, things are going to calm down. But I love that these planets, at least we still have the Sun for another 7 days or so. Next week it'll move into Gemini, and it won't be long before Jupiter's in Gemini either. That will stir things up in the mental department and communication and information gathering, all of that. But Uranus is going to sit there for a while in Taurus, and Venus will have a good month or so there. And Venus conjunct Uranus is actually, I think, really good for, for artists and for anybody working to bring together more abundance and more solid safety, security, ownership, things like that. And with that sextile up here to Saturn, there's that concrete, bringing through something that you've been working on for quite some time. So, yay. Okay, and it's Jupiter to Neptune. Ooh, that's nice. Oh, yeah, 27 to 29. That's really nice. So, like I was saying before, Jupiter expanding into abundant territories with Taurus, and then the sextile to Neptune in Pisces, it's like there's no limit. You could get some really wonderful. Jupiter does tend to bring in opportunities. You could have a generous person come into your life and go, oh, I've always wanted to help somebody create that, or I've always wanted to get into partnership with somebody who's as creative as you are, and I have the money, but I don't know how to do what you do, and I would love to help you get your project out there. It could be something like that. You never know. Now, with Taurus, of course, the energy's there to go slow and always, check things out, but these are good. These are really good transits. So, okay, so looks good for Monday. Let's go to Tuesday. Tuesday, we do have the moon here with even more of the square to Venus now. And this is an approaching square, so this will be all day. Now, what else? Let's see. The moon. Oh, I forgot to talk about actually yesterday, because the moon had we had a trine to Mars, and I'm noticing that we missed that. But it's still kind of there. I mean, you can see it. I can see it here now. You can see the lines, but that started last night already, right? Now, these are both fire signs, so I hope you're listening to this, before. Take a note that be careful about staying up too late on Monday night, because there's so much fire energy that's emotional and can respond like the moon is how we respond to life. And in Leo, there's that fiery go get it type of energy, and then connected to Mars and Aries, If you stay up too late, you might catch a second wind and have a really hard time going to sleep. So try to go to bed early on Monday night, and yeah, just don't stay up too late is the thing. Because every hour you stay up, it's going to get stronger and stronger. Because as you can see, Tuesday morning, 5 a.m., it's still here. I just forgot to show you it. I forgot to forward the hours so you could see it coming in. But it's here at 5 a.m. This is the morning where you will be, there's so much energy to just get up and go. Get up and go. It's very creative. It's very movement oriented, of course, like I've just said for the last 5 minutes. But notice how the moon is just about an exact trine coming up to the north node. So there's something about following your heart to keep you on your path, or really get yourself on your path. Remember that book? I think it was in the 80s, and I think it was Marcia Sinitar. I could be wrong. But it was, whoever the author was, it was called Do What You Love and the Money Will Follow. That really speaks to everything here going on with Taurus. Notice how Venus has moved 1 degree closer. Everything going on here with Taurus as far as manifesting, and then the trines. We even have the aspect of the architect here coming in with the moon today. The sextile to the south node, so this could be relationships or bridges that were created, bridges that or a new bridge could be created too, because sextiles are opportunities. And this could be a bridge to a person or a group of people, especially because Pluto in Aquarius brings in, groups of people. But also with the double trines coming off of the moon up to the north node and Mars, this is very activating energy when it comes to relationships. So this is actually really good. Let's see, what else? Well, you still have the trines coming in from Ceres to our stellium in Taurus down here. So I don't need to address that again. The Ceres squaring, well, it's going to go retrograde. We talked about this last week, or I talked about it last week, but Ceres in the square to, there's an exact square to Chiron, you can see, 21 degrees here. So this is a cardinal earth, fire earth, cardinal movement-oriented aspect coming in from Chiron. Chiron in Aries at the 21 degree stage, hopefully, has helped so many people heal whatever they needed to heal within, so that they're more independent and their gifts are coming through as to their independence, to the point that you trust your instincts and you move forward on a daily basis with your, coming from your instincts. And you don't worry about being abandoned, because you don't abandon yourself anymore. The square to Ceres will help you. It's a tension field, but it will help you to heal that if you just keep focusing on your work, doing what matters to you, doing your work in a way that brings meaning into your life, and allow your gifts to come through, your instinctual gifts of independence and, your trailblazing attributes. Let's see, what else? I think that's, well, let's see. Let me double check. Yeah, the moon square Venus is approaching all day. So I guess I didn't really talk about that, did I? The moon in Leo is going to, a lot of people are going to feel that they know what they want and they're going after it, and they're going to talk about it, and they're going to shine, right? That's a good thing. But it might be kind of scary with the square for some people. Do I dare say what I have inside of me? It can be something like that. with the square from Leo to Taurus, it's a bit like it's a bit like if I don't let my light shine, then I'm safe. But if I don't let my light shine, I won't have the opportunities that are needed that I want to bring in. So it's about, with Venus and Taurus, the way to work this square, this tension field that can turn into a strength, is to go slow. Leo is big and burns hot, but Taurus is subdued and thinking in terms of being faithful to your principles and doesn't like getting pushed. Also doesn't like getting stuck. So there's that tension field about being stuck in your safety versus just letting your shine come through, right? Just letting your light shine, basically. So that's interesting for the day. And this is all day too, with that, because we've got 18 degrees here. Yeah. So, but morning time is best to activate it and work it out, whatever it is, and get going. There are relationships that you can talk to. There are people, there are friends, there are others that you can talk to about it. So I don't see a problem. But that's another good reason not to stay up late Monday night, because you don't want to be tired with this type of a transit. You want to be able to use it. Let's see. Yeah. Okay, let's just go ahead and go to Wednesday. So now Wednesday we do have Mercury in Taurus. Comes in at, what is that, 10:06 a.m. And also Ceres goes retrograde, but later at night. I think it's like 10:30. It's after 10:30 p.m. Oh no, that happened Tuesday night. I'm sorry, it's retrograde right here. Yeah, that happened Tuesday night, last night. So we're waking up with this planet that has stationed retrograde, and it's going to move back. And now Ceres is a dwarf planet, just like Pluto and just like Eris. That's why I include it, and I don't include the asteroids because I don't find them very powerful. After years of trying to work with them, and it was just kind of like, eh. But other astrologers do, and that's great. That's wonderful. So with Ceres going retrograde now, we're going back over all that same territory that we have been, where we've been, building. We've been developing a foundation. And then we've been learning all the lessons that we can about how to really create the foundation that we're trying to build. And we've learned so much. And we just got to the point where we were starting to bloom and blossom. But now Ceres is going, wait, we need to go back and check things out. Because some things are not fair. Some things are not really protecting humanity, or some people in government are really not protecting humanity. Some people are abusing women, or some rules, some new laws that were brought in by, Scrotus, completely negate what it means to be safe as a woman. I mean, and you can say, "Oh, I'm older. I can't get pregnant." Well, if you still have a uterus in your body, it's possible that you could need it taken out, and then there's not a good doctor in your state that can do that because they've gotten the hell out of a state that is so repressive that they can't even earn a living, right? And then meanwhile, all the women who have been and will die because of their oppressive rules, oppressive laws that are in place. So yeah, with Mercury in Taurus, which is a feminine sign, now direct, and it's gone past, because when Mercury was at that 27 degrees of Aries at the, on Monday, we were now out of the retro shade. So we've gone, 3 degrees past the point where Mercury was retrograde, and we're now into a whole new phase. Mercury in Taurus will be a lot of talking and thinking and gathering information, negotiating, linking patterns, analyzing what has happened in the past. And it's going to be everything that we're thinking about and talking about, writing about, all of that in the realm. With Taurus, we're talking safety, self-preservation, security, and what our principles are. So, it's about what we have, what we can hold on to, what we can magnetize, what opportunities we can bring in solidly and anchor something into our lives, and most of all, what we value. Most of us really do value our own self-preservation, right? And without stability and safety, you can't grow. So people are going to be talking about things like that, and especially with all feminine issues, as Mercury gets 1 degree closer and closer and closer to Venus will keep moving, but Mercury goes really quick. So we'll be having some talk in there, all about feminine equality. Yeah. And meanwhile, of course, with the Sun in between Jupiter and Uranus all week, there's a lot of information about anything to do with new inventions for safety and waking up to where we aren't safe, and how we can expand into more safety as Jupiter is in the last 2 degrees, actually about a degree and a half. It just has to get to that 29 degrees 0, and we're at that very intense anaretic degree where something has been able to bloom, something's been able to birth and bring through. Of course, with Taurus, bottom line, it's safety and security and stability. So, okay, now the moon this morning, 10:06 a.m., because that's when Mercury hit Taurus. The moon is at 27 degrees, so in that last decan, definitely blossoming. I can bet all week long, or up to this point, there's been tons of talk about women's rights, and everyone's rights. All the healthy men in women's lives, they want their family to thrive. They don't want to have a medical emergency that where there's no help, for a female in their family. So there's that. But anyway, with these 3 squares for the moon hitting, you can see how 27 degrees here, we have an exact square to Jupiter. It's hitting up the Sun and Uranus. So there's a lot of, the public mood is bold. The public mood is courageous and brave, and they're responding to the feminine, and they're responding to what nurtures and what doesn't. And with I'll only speak about it because it's so blatantly obvious right here, with the semi-square to the South Node in Libra, again, there's that action that needs to be taken. Semi-square is like an itch that you need to scratch, or action that needs to be taken. And it has to do with relationships, and it also has to do with fairness and equality. And notice how Mars is pretty darn close to the North Node, and also the opposition to the South Node. So, yeah. We've got stubbornness with the sesquisquare here to the South Node in Libra. So again, fairness, equality, stubbornly holding on to relationships that we love and fighting for them best we can, right? Jupiter will bring in that protective urge for relationship and for equality and fairness, justice. Man, it's not as, this week, I can't say it's, well, I can say it's not as fast moving as it was a few weeks ago and fiery with all that Aries energy. I mean, we had all this in Aries before. It's slowing down, but it's getting serious with Taurus here. So, Taurus doesn't mess around, right? Aries is like, I'm here, or I have something new to share, but it's kind of like just, you're here, basically. Taurus is like, I'm here and I'm in a body and I need to be safe and I need food and I need nurturing and I need all this, right? So this is the mood for this next week. This is the mood. With the moon in conjunct Neptune, there's going to be adjustments based on everyone with their courageous, brave voice that is shining their light in very compassionate ways. So there's all of that. Man, there's a lot. So, but we can expect with Mercury and Taurus that we are going to be talking about these things more and more and more. We're going to be thinking about safety and security, bottom line, and how we can become more stable so that we have the growth that is needed. Because there's no happiness without creativity, and if we're stuck and we can't create stability, we can't grow. And without growth, there's no happiness, right? Taurus is all about bliss, creating bliss. And the moon, you can see, is trine Eris and Chiron. Actually, Mercury's still in there too. Yeah. So Eris and Chiron, now Eris has been, Chiron's getting closer and closer, right? But Eris has been sitting there, like I said before, patiently holding, well, I don't know about how patient in Aries, but holding space for new and, anything that's alive, anything that is, mostly about independence, feminine independence. I could say, as a blanket term, Aries is holding space for the feminine to be independent, to have autonomy and to move forward that way. Now with, so we could say that, we've been working on that for over the, more than the last 500 years. That'd be an interesting research project, is to see when the last time Eris was in Aries, like what we were going through. Wow. Yeah. Okay, so, but anyway, Chiron, this time, Chiron connected to Eris and getting closer and closer, is all about bringing through those gifts of independence, bringing through that ability to blaze your own trail, to have your own life that you are moving forward in based on all the new things that you want to bring through. It can be very courageous and daring, and it wants to win. Aries energy kind of wants to win. It's all about asserting our unique individuality, just basically asserting ourselves. But the wounding with Chiron and Aries can be about being abandoned and feeling left out. So again, like I always say, don't abandon yourself, okay? And don't impulsively react to life coming from that old wounding of being abandoned, because then you end up just pushing people away. That's kind of how it happens. But if you don't abandon yourself, then you belong to yourself, then you're going to be fine. Everything will work out from there. So, okay, I think I should move forward. Let's go to Thursday. Thursday's a little more of a simple day, but we have, look how Venus is getting so much closer to Uranus. This can bring in some new and exciting relationships. Venus to Uranus. You'd want to go slow, but because it's in Taurus, it's kind of slower moving energy anyway. And Uranus has been sitting there in Taurus for so long. Now in that third decan, we definitely are, blooming within our ability to stick to our principles and to be really, really faithful to ourselves. So I'm not really worried about that. The sun is really close. We have sun conjunct Jupiter today. If you happen to have Jupiter in Taurus at 27 degrees, this will be your Jupiter return that you only get every 12 years. And great opportunities can come in for that, especially with the sun joined up with Jupiter. Sun conjunct Jupiter brings in a level of protection, and translated into the sign of Taurus, it would again be the ability to attract what you need and bring in a lot of opportunities, and to have a stronger sense of self-esteem, a good sense of valuing yourself. The challenging side with Taurus energy can have to do with being very possessive and holding on, right? Like just kind of like a black hole of all your stuff. And, I think I talked about it last week a little bit. It can have to do with hoarding. But I tend to notice that, that is just from trauma. But anyway, it can deny opportunities on the dark side of Taurus because you're trying to hold on. In order to bring in opportunity, energy has to circulate. And if it's not circulating, then you have to, you just have to ask why. Like, what am I holding on to? Or why am I not valuing myself the way I should be? Yeah. So, and you can see that all those trines are still going on from Ceres, and Ceres really hasn't moved very far in the retrogradation process at all. It'll be slow. It's going to take until Ceres will be retrograde. I should have mentioned this earlier. Sorry. Ceres will be retrograde until August 26th. So it's not that long. And it will go from 21 degrees back to 7. And so if this, you want to look and see, sometimes it can it can be part of two different houses in your chart. Just look and see where 7 degrees to 21 degrees of Capricorn is in your chart. Maybe it's just in one house, maybe it's in two. If it's in two, then when it hits that, house cusp as it's crossing back, then the energy will shift as to that area of life that's being affected. But most of all, just look and see where 21 degrees is now, and it's going to be quite some time. Just think of between now and the summer, that area of your life will go through an ability to, really, really nurture something in ways that will create a very solid foundation for you. So that's actually really wonderful, because in Taurus in Capricorn, we're talking that solid foundation that you don't mind working hard for. Capricorn, in its best sense of the word, will help you get inside of your own integrity, your own inner authority, like who you are in your bones, right? It's cardinal energy, it's earth energy, it's ruled by Saturn. Cardinal just means it's movement oriented, but the movement is to be more stable and have that secure, stable foundation in your life, which is Saturn. But it's very determined energy, Saturn and Capricorn. Saturn rules Capricorn. And it's very, it'll help you master some area of your life because you're just so doggedly determined to get it right. And you don't mind working hard on it every day because it's just such a part of who you are. Now having Ceres in there, you may have some friends, some female friends or female relatives that help you. There's that possibility. And but there's that discipline, to that determined discipline to be self-responsible with Capricorn. It's all about self-responsibility. So yeah, and then today for Thursday, we do have that sesquisquare coming over to the Virgo moon, so there can be some, first thing in the morning, there can be some real, stubborn energy about wanting to do it, your way, because you're seeing, with Virgo energy, it can be about seeing some details that other people have yet to notice. And that's especially true because of the trine over here to Mercury. It's like, especially if you have a strong Virgo energy, you would be noticing details that other people might have kind of skated over, but with this nice trine from, and it'll approach as well to bring in Venus and Uranus, all the Venus, Uranus. Right now it's Mercury, so there's a nice, easy, graceful opportunity to focus in on the details, and because you're thinking along those lines already, but now you'll be able to communicate them, especially as the moon moves forward all day long. Actually, for the next 2 days, about 2 days. You're gonna, so we'll see that as the moon moves forward. It's going to hit Venus, Uranus, the Sun, and Jupiter, and so that combination of Virgo to Taurus energy is really good for work. It's really, really good. Virgo energy is wonderful for making distinctions. It's all about discernment. It's very discriminating, and super practical. And like Mercury and like Gemini, it helps you to learn things, but you're learning by doing. And it's kind of by trial and error, and you figure things out. But it's really, I love Virgo energy because it's super good for getting things right and bringing in more opportunities because you're paying attention to the details. The only way we can have trouble with Virgo energy is to not discriminate, to not, get things in order. Divine order is the territory of Virgo. But if you're not getting things in order, then things are cluttered. You can't find what you need when you need it, because everything should have its place. That way you can find it. And the problem is if it's your glasses on top of your head and then you forget. Stuff like that. It's like, oh. But for the most part, Virgo energy is great. Challenging issues with Virgo energy can be overthinking and getting into, fear, anxiety, and then just kind of going more and more and more into that black hole, which doesn't really help. But it does have the power to turn around and go the other direction too, because you've been there before. And it does have the power to, you can, with this combination with Taurus energy here, you can remember to stop. Taurus is like stop, take a deep breath. The only air we have going on now is actually the South Node and Pluto in Aquarius too, but it's still there. And we breathe all the time anyway. If we don't keep breathing, we die. So we just have to remember sometimes to stop and take a deep breath and get out of our heads and into our bodies. And that's what Taurus and Virgo and Capricorn are so good with. So let's see. I think that's it. Let's go ahead and go to Friday. Mercury here at 2 degrees is exactly squaring Pluto, and I clocked it at 4 a.m. so that you see the exact hit there. So it's super early, especially, Friday's probably still work day for most of you. I tend to wake up at that time anyway. It sucks. You stay up late and then still wake up at 4. It's like, that's not fair. But anyway, so Mercury, look how Venus is just moving on really quick. Venus is conjunct Uranus there. But Mercury square to Pluto. Now this can bring through coming a bit head to head with somebody who's trying to think out of the box and invent something new, or has some great ideas, or maybe they're just, I don't know, little tactless. Maybe they're not connected to their heart, because we don't have the moon and Leo over here anymore. But there's that discriminating, both of these can be kind of disconnected. And, for the Virgo moon to, with the sesquisquare to Pluto, there's stubborn energy over here, emotionally stubborn energy over here, because someone's seeing some details. And then there's someone in control up here that wants to just go forward. But then Mercury in Taurus over here is saying, hold on. Right? So we've got some power issues here, control issues, quality control issues, most likely, with the moon in Virgo. So the Plutonian energy up here bumping up against Mercury, that can blow up in somebody's face in the future. We'll just have to wait and see what that's about. Meanwhile, Mars is super close to the North Node, has moved another degree. It's within 53 minutes. It's like 7 more minutes, and it's 13 degrees. So that's happening soon. And again, moving forward on your path. And I'm hearing, come hell or high water, that's where I'm going. And notice that we have these two sextiles. So, of course, the Neptune sextile Pluto that I talked about earlier, but also Neptune is sextiling Jupiter. So we have expansive energy, powerfully supported in ways that can bring in more freedom and something very original. This is also really good for intuition, very good for intelligent thinking. And then with Jupiter over here in Taurus, that definitely bodes well for, and look how the sun is exactly conjunct, well, it's within 1 degree, conjunct Jupiter. It's like 58 minutes, within 1 hour, conjunct to Jupiter. So again, that shining a light on the best way to go, that can be healing for the body, that can be healing for abundant issues, for any money issues in your life. They can bring in more hope and more faith and more generosity and more grace. And now we have the trine connecting up here to powerful Pluto. And then we still have all these trines connecting to Ceres in Capricorn. This is really good. Notice how we do have a grand Earth trine going on here from the moon up to Ceres and then to Venus. There's one there. And then the moon is trining, like I said, Venus, Uranus, and just Venus and Uranus right now. But as it moves, right, because like I said, we were going to have trines to all of these planets over here. So every hour that the moon moves forward, it starts to begin to hit the sun and Jupiter. So why don't I just talk about it now, because it's going to be all weekend, where the ability to discern and discriminate and really get into the details. And this could play out in ways that exposes how authority figures, I don't know if I'd really want to call them authority, politicians and dirty politicians and CEOs will be exposed as to where the money went or where the money's going, things like that. We're talking money with all the Taurian energy here, especially with Mercury and Taurus. We're talking about that. And then the Virgo moon in at 18 degrees no less in the second decan, we are learning lessons. The information's coming out in great detail. Yeah, and it has to do with feminine. Yeah. Excuse me. So, yeah, I just see more and more coming out there. Okay, let's go ahead and go to Saturday. Now, Saturday, we do have Venus conjunct Uranus. I clocked it at 4:40 a.m. Hold on one second. I need to get some water. Okay, so Venus-Uranus conjunction here, both at 23 degrees. Of course, the 23rd degree is at the end of, it's in the third decan of the sign, so there is something that is coming through, to fruition, kind of like a full moon. And Venus to Uranus can be new ways to make money, new ways that support the feminine, new ways that support your stable foundation that you've been trying to build, that you have been building. There's a real blossoming here. Like I said, the moon, actually, I lied. The moon actually made it to Libra already. But there's still the double trine coming in to the Sun and Jupiter. So Friday is a super important day to work through all the details while the moon's still in Virgo all day and into the evening, because this is early Saturday morning. So Friday is actually a really good work day. I don't know that I would want to take the day off. This would be unless it's a day off to do your own thing, like if you have a side job or something that is what you really love doing, then it's a really good day for that. So anyway, notice how the moon in Libra is in conjunct Venus and Taurus. So there's an adjustment. It might have to do with something that brings in more beauty or sociability. It's possible with the moon in Libra that, especially at 0 degrees, that it has to do with a new relationship or somebody that you're connecting with, or some new idea that you had that puts you on that bridge to thinking in a new way. With that in conjunct, there's the need for an adjustment there. So trust your feelings. Whatever feelings come through this morning, Saturday morning, trust them and go with it and see where it brings you. And then, of course, with Venus and Uranus, it can shift something and make it even better than it was before. And look how here the Sun is conjunct Jupiter still, but they're both at 28 degrees. So man, one more degree and that's that anaretic degree. So these are really, really, really good transits for abundance, for creating something that is really beautiful, or bringing it through. And notice we have a kite to the moon. So the moon's at the tail. The moon is the rudder, right? So the moon in Libra, with the moon, just think of what you're naturally going to be wanting to connect with this morning. And even, the next 2.5, the moon stays in one sign for 2.5 days. But with Libra, you have to bring in the element of relationship. You have to bring in the element of just relating to other things that are more stimulating than just what you could find on your own. So it is pretty engaging, but it's all about bringing in new opportunities that are shared. You're sharing opportunities. And with the trine up here to Pluto, this can be very powerful. And with the trine over to the Sun and Jupiter, it can be extremely healing. It can also be extremely expansive and extremely abundant, right? It could also be excess, because Jupiter can be excess. So be careful about spending too much money, or think, very clearly. Make sure you. I would think with the moon in Virgo, you had done your due diligence if you're thinking of signing a contract, but just make sure. And then it looks like Saturday could be the day that it happens, but make sure you read all the fine print. And maybe the adjustments were made with the moon in Virgo, and then Saturday morning it comes together. But notice how we've got the trine over here to the Sun, Jupiter, over here to Pluto, which brings in the powerful forces. We've got the two trines coming from Pluto to Jupiter and Uranus. I'm sorry, Jupiter and the Sun. And then the two sextiles up here. So we've got the points from this is like the moon came along and filled in and brings this huge opportunity that gets this kite going in this very creative, beautiful way. And with, Neptune at that 29th degree, I hope there's some support here for peace agreements in, I know Biden's like really, really, really threatening Netanyahu that everything's going to be cut off if he doesn't get his act together. But dealing with the crisis in Gaza and, there's that. And then immigration is ruled by Pisces, right? So maybe there's some healing that comes because we do have this opportunistic sextile over here, and then a powerful sextile over here coming from Pluto. The best quality of Aquarius would be, very humanitarian, powerful humanitarian deeds that could happen. And with the trine to the Sun and Jupiter, it could be very healing. And then Taurus has everything to do with food, right? So I hope something comes through. I mean, too many people have died already. Too many kids, everybody, they've been dying from starvation. It's so appalling. And it's been a genocide that needs to, the healing that needs to happen. My goodness. And then you can see a lot of little semi-squares in here coming from Mars. Mars is still that in 1 degree there from the North Node. So that could be that moving forward in a new way that is much more fair and balanced and maybe bringing through some equality. As the hours go by, well, the moon will, days. Let's see, let me look at Sunday. Let's go ahead and go to Sunday. Yeah, the moon, it did take the whole day, that's what I thought. The moon, because it just moves like, 1 degree every couple of hours, I think, 2.5 hours. Anyway, I can't remember. But the moon is conjunct the South Node. So we are connected to the past in some way today. And the moon is opposing Mars, right? So there's the emotional need to be fair and balanced, and then the Mars connected exactly to the North Node. So we're leaving off this weekend or starting next week with that impetus to instinctually go forward, to honor new life and to honor independence, and to in your personal life, it would just be that, continuing to blaze your own trail, your own path. Everyone has their own unique path in life. And we're bringing along relationships with us at this point with the moon in there's an emotional need to connect and meet somebody halfway and compromise. Or in some other countries, it can be, here's the downside of the Libra Aries polarity, and Mars connected to the North Node. There can be warring type of relationships because somebody wants something and the other people don't want to give it. And we've got a lot of stubborn energy here. Somebody wants something really bad and they're very excessive. And they're comparing my goodness, like in surprising ways, they are comparing how much money they have against what other people have, and they think that, they want to stubbornly hold on to what they have, and the public is going to see it. So I don't know if this has something to do with Putin, something to do with Trump, but there are there's stubborn financial warring tendencies here. Well, it's always about the money, right? I mean, that's what the wars are about. They just come in and take the land and just take it because they want money and power and territory. It's ridiculous. And it's been done for eons. And all the lives that are lost over land and religion. It's appalling. Let's see. I still see Pluto there squaring. Yeah, that's what I thought. Well, there's a really strong square here to Mercury still going on. That's the one that we started the week off with, I think, if I remember right. Or Tuesdays, came in on Tuesday. Well, no, that was the moon to Venus. What was... Yeah, okay, 2 degrees here, 4 degrees here. Yeah, it's been happening. I just didn't talk about it the last couple of days, but I should have. This happens to me every week. Okay, so hopefully you watch this all the way through. When I do the timestamps, I'll try to remember to create a note. But basically, from about, I would say Friday. Yeah, it's got to be Friday, based on the degrees here. Friday, Mercury square Pluto. I think I did talk about it a little bit. There, somebody thinking about what they wanted, and then up against the powerful, whatevers, powers that be, whether it's a bank to loan money, or a humanitarian issue, and we're talking about the people in power and how they're not caring about what matters most, right? That could be that. Now, in our personal lives, from Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, because of that Moon-Mars opposition there too, right? There's that combination going on. But the Mercury square to Pluto, in our personal lives, if we just keep thinking in terms of what brings through more security and stability, and then what is it that you have to transform inside of you to be more free? Because with Aquarius energy, with Pluto, just think of transformation and power. What do you have to transform inside of you to bring through your soul power? And with Aquarius, we're in that realm, because this is somewhere in your chart. So you have to find out where 2 degrees of Aquarius is in your chart. And Pluto will be transforming that area of your life. Each house is an area of life. And so what you can do is, with the Aquarian energy, is think in ways of how you can network with other people, and the square to Mercury over here will turn into a strength. There'll be a little tension field around finding who to network with, but it'll turn into a strength because you will find those people if you just keep working it. And then you put information into specific categories with the Aquarian energy, and you develop a collection of ways to, with this group or these other people, or one other person at least, you develop ways of being able to continue to invent and reinvent over and over new opportunities. Now, the challenging side of Mercury square Pluto in Aquarius, and the challenging side of Aquarius, can be that somebody's just, like I said before, just really superficial and detached from the heart, and they're just trying to be act like they know more than you and they're better than you. It can be very prideful. The whole Leo Aries or Leo Aquarius polarity can be full of pride, but in Aquarius, it's about like I said, I know more than you. I'm more intelligent than you. Yeah, like okay. Yeah. So, and pride is one of those things that all humans have to work through. It's just part of our ticket here on Earth. Getting into Earth is like we're always going to be dealing with some vicious circle of pride, self-will, and fear. So basically, due to your pride, and that we could all look at this like just every day, like what am I in pride about? Like what's that about? And you'll discover if you go deep enough into it that you, in your vicious circles in life, now there's healthy pride too. There's a certain level of healthy pride, like when you're proud of your kids, and not because they did something that makes you look better, but because you're so proud of them, that because you can see their own unique light coming through. It's not a reflection on you. You're reflecting back to them who they really are, independent of you. But with the challenging side of with the unhealthy side of pride, what happens is that we kick in our self-will to try to be that thing that we think we're supposed to be in order to get other people's approval or love or whatever. Basically trying to manipulate life outside of your core self. And so there's a lot of pushing and a lot of willing yourself, a lot of self-will to be the thing, maybe be kind of charismatic or be the way you think you're supposed to be in order to get other people to respond to you in a certain way. And then buried underneath all of that is the fear that you're not any of that. And then if you're not any of that, who are you really? Bottom line. So any vicious circle in your life, you can try to work it through, like looking at that. Like, who do I think I need to be in order to have this approval or admiration or money or love or connection? I mean, we all need connection. We're all interdependent on each other. So there's that. Connection is a real need that I want to honor. But when it's connected to manipulating other people to get other things from them, that's where it can kind of turn the dark side. So, yeah. Okay, so I'll just close this up by saying that it won't be long before we're going to see the Sun and Jupiter move into Gemini. Jupiter won't make it to Gemini until the 25th of May, but the Sun will get there. I'll have to look because it changes a little bit every year. I just, by a day or so. But we'll be looking at that next week. We'll be in Gemini season. Yay! Should be a lot more talkative. Well, then again, with Mercury, when Mercury was in Aries, that was very talkative anyway. But I do love that things are more slow with all this Taurus energy. So take advantage of this beautiful time. Okay, so that's it. Thanks you guys for listening. Take good care. Bye.